Alright, today's video is going to cover using slope intercepts in context and their word problems. So with word problems, there isn't necessarily any exact steps. What I'm going to have you guys do is I'm going to have you pause the video, read the problem to yourself, and then you're going to see an image pop up on the right. It's going to be me kind of like diagramming what the problem's about, because that's really what you have to do with these word problems, is just figure out what the problem's about. Or like the context of it, and then answer the question based on that context. So go ahead and pause the video right now. Okay, hopefully you were able to deduce that this problem is about this dude riding a bike straight at this tree. He's starting before the tree because it tells us that it's starting negative. And then the y value represents how far he is from the tree, so this space between the tree. And then the x value represents the rotations of his wheel. So as he moves to the right, his wheels are rotating, and that's what the x number of rotations. The problem here is asking us for what does the y-intercept represent, and we know the y-intercept has an x value of 0, and let's just go ahead and say that this y-intercept here is negative 15, and we know that x in this case represents 0 rotations, so his wheel has not moved yet. And the y value represents distance past the tree. So he's 15 meters and it's negative, so he's in front. He's 15 meters in front of the tree. Number of rotations it took to be beside the tree? No. Number of rotations it took to travel 1 meter? No. The distance Coleman traveled per tire rotation? No. Okay, so it must be the first one. Number of rotations it took to be beside the tree. Number of rotations it took to travel 1 meter? No, I think it's none. Let's see if I'm right. It is none. So we were looking for something about 0 rotations and him being in front of the tree. Let's go ahead and move on to example 2. Alright, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out what this problem is about. Maybe even make a diagram. Alright, so this is kind of a wacky problem. So this guy makes a hat, then he makes a scarf, and this graph's representing the scarf and how much yarn he used, which is the x, and they're weighing the yarn for some reason, and how long the scarf is. So the more yarn weighs, the longer the scarf's going to be. This says what feature of the graph represents how much yarn he used for the hat. How much yarn? Well, since we know that yarn represents x, we know that it's asking us for the x-intercept. Because the line represents how much yarn he's using for the scarf, we know that this space between 0 for x and where the line starts on the x-axis is the amount of yarn that he used for the hat, because he made a hat first. So it's asking us for the x-intercept. Alright, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out what this problem's about. Alright, so you probably figured it out, but this problem's about this Mio buying a tablet, buying an iPad maybe, buying this iPad and then paying monthly for the internet on that iPad. The question is asking us what's the y-intercept. So we know the y-intercept has a x value of 0, and then based on where this blue line starting on the y, it's probably each of these lines represents 50, so it's probably 50. Let's just say it's 52, and we know that the x represents time in months, so 0 months and then $52. What could that mean? Let's see. The cost of buying the tablet, the number of months after which the total cost was 0. Well, we know the total cost isn't 0. We know that the cost right now is 52 of that y-intercept. The cost per month, no, that represents the rate. And then the last answer is none of the above. Well, since Mio has to buy this tablet, that y-intercept means that the tablet cost about $52 because Mio hasn't paid any month. It's probably he. Mio hasn't paid anything for the monthly fee yet, so it just costs 0 months have passed, and the tablet costs $52. So it's got to be option A. And that's normally what the y-intercept represents, an initial amount. I'm going to go ahead and add that in. Equals the initial amount. Initial value is probably better. Alright, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure this one out on your own. Okay, so this was a really weird question. We've got the stalactite, and the stalagmite, which must be some sort of rocks or something. And they grow, and they're in this cave, and they're growing. The x value is tracking time, and so we're tracking over time how much closer are they getting to each other, and the y value is representing how close, or the distance between the two. Which feature of the graph represents the rate of the distance between the two? And we know that y per x is a rate, and we know that rates in math are slopes. So the slope of this line is the answer. That brings us to the fourth example. Go ahead and do the best you can. I would suggest trying to use some diagram to understand the problem, and then figuring out, is it asking for the slope, the y-intercept, or the x-intercept? Good luck.